Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second part of our Module 1 discussion. Okay, so for those who are listening to this audio and for those who are watching this lecture video, please bring out a copy of your handout in Module number 1. Okay, and then please turn it into technology process. So for those who are listening, I'm now sharing my screen. Okay, so last time we ended up with uh, the process in C4D. So we've discussed about what is C4D. We've discussed about what is the value added of communication to development, and we've discussed the different process in the four phases of C4D, and we've specifically discussed phase 1 and phase 2. So now I'm going to discuss to you the technology packaging process. Okay, but before we go to the technology packaging process of CLSU, let's go first to what technology is. Okay, let's discuss what technology means. Okay, so a technology is a body of tool, machine, materials, techniques, and processes used to produce goods and services and satisfy human needs. Okay, so if you try to look back our philosophy, vision, and mission, one of the mission of CLSU is to really generate and disseminate knowledge and technologies for poverty alleviation, sustainable development. Okay, so one major role of CLSU, one major key role that CLSU plays in our community is it's really one of the lead agencies na nagde-develop ng different technologies in agriculture and allied fields that would really help farmers in their productivity, and not only technologies in agriculture, but we generate a lot of technologies that could really help and satisfy the needs of the community. Okay, so those are the technologies and knowledge. Those are technologies and knowledge generated by CLSU. Okay, so what I am playing now is the different technologies of CLSU. We have organic farming, we have hydroponics, we have a lot of technologies in agriculture. So all these technologies are products of research. Remember that as a development communication practitioner, one of your role is to really bridge the researchers into to the communities or to the target clienteles and beneficiaries of those technology, because these technologies would just sit there. It would just be a research, or it would just stay as a research, and it will not be utilized by the community people. It will not be utilized by the target clienteles and beneficiaries unless you introduce it to them, unless you bring these technologies to the people. This is this is why there is a technology packaging process for CLSU. Okay, we use that packaging process. After the technology packaging, it would go down to technology dissemination. Okay, so let's categorize first the different technologies. There are two kinds of technologies in CLSU, or technologies as a whole. We have component technology and package of technologies. When you say it's a component technology, it means that it's only one specific technology or specific technique or process in crop production, in livestock or fisheries. So for example, you just have one technology on biopesticide technology or insecticide production. That's just one technology. But when you say it's a package of technology, it's a combination of all component technology. For example, in planting onion, in planting organic onion, um, there are different steps from seedling production to planting the onion to uh, putting proper nutrition to the onion until harvesting. So every part may technology na dinevelop or process develop ang CLSU or any research institution for that. Okay, so a package of technology is a combination of different component technologies. So it's called a package of technology because when you say organic onion production, it's not just one product, it's not just one technology, it's a combination of all technologies on organic onion production. Okay. Those are the categories of technologies. Okay, and here are the different types of technology. When we say technology, what comes to mind? Usually, when we say technology, ang nasa isip agad natin are products. Okay? So, it's either uh, gadgets, di ba? Computers. Those are technologies. Okay? Or farm machineries. So, those are technologies. But, hindi lang yun yung technology. A technology can be a product or it's a physical good. For example, pellet feeds, insecticides, pesticides. Those are technologies. Those are products. Okay? But service is also a technology. A service is, for example, an activity that could help enhance existing policies and programs of the government. So, for example, we're going to vaccination ng mga bata before there is no vaccination available, but then the government provided it, and then everyone is being vaccinated. That form of service is already a technology. Okay, so for example, another here is artificial insemination of carabaos. Okay, that service provided to carabao owners is also a type of technology. So it could also be a process or a system for doing things. Okay, so if you invented another system or another process to make life easier, to make something easier, then that is also a technology. So for example, you're a math wizard, and then you've invented another formula on how to derive to a certain or how to answer a certain equation, then therefore that is a process. Okay, that is a technology. And an example here is forage production. So forage already exists. Okay, so grass and legumes already exist, but then the production process on how to grow forage for animal consumption, it's a process, it's another technology. They have invented another way of doing things, of making it more productive, of making it the betterment of the process, so that you could arrive at a output in a more effective and efficient way. Okay, and lastly is information. Information is also a type of technology. Okay, so the new knowledge that you derive from any research, it is a technology because it informs people. Okay, so information system, like we have artificial intelligence now. So AI are just banked on information that are programmed inside AIs, diba? So that is a type of technology. We use information for us to have better decision making process. Okay, so if you try to look at it, all this type of technology, they help human beings to in their everyday life para matulungan tayo doon sa mga ginagawa natin, para mas mapabilis at mas mapaayos yung mga ginagawa natin sa araw-araw nating buhay. So all this are technologies. It's not just product. Okay, it could be a service, a process, or information. All those are technologies. So we have different sources of technologies. Of course, I told you that CLSU is one of the um, all academic institutions, all higher education institutions Okay, they have a mandate to do, not just to produce graduates, but also to do research. Okay, so of course, government agencies, R&D agencies like Philarise, international research agencies, all those produce new technologies. Even media produce technologies because media is the source of information. Okay, so all this are sources of technologies. So this is the technology development process of CLSU. Okay, so this is based, I just copied this from the ISO approved process. Okay, so we start from technology generation to verification, adaptation, dissemination, and commercialization. So when you say technology generation, it is the experimental process wherein R&Ds utilize its resources to create a package of technologies or a component technology. Okay, and then next to generation is verification. So uh, they will try now uh, the technology that they have come up with, generated technology. They would integrate it with farmers or other clienteles, kung sino yung target beneficiaries, if it really works. So if it does improve the existing practices of farmers, or it improves yung kanilang production process, then after that, it would come now to adaptation. Okay, so adaptation, because for example, a technology could be adopted, or one technology could be used in one area but cannot be used in another. Or is it feasible? Meaning, you have developed a good technology, but can farmers adopt it? Can they pay for it? Is it economically feasible? So, for example, we have uh, the aeroponics, wherein in CLSU we can have our own, we can grow strawberries. Okay, but then up until now, they're still in adaptation process, because the cost for a greenhouse to produce uh, strawberries would be very costly para sa isang ordinaryong farmer. They cannot adapt it that easily. Okay. Next is technology information and dissemination. This is when we go down to the communities, and if okay na yung ating technology, if it's verified and well adopted, then we can disseminate now our technologies to the target clientele, specifically farmers or the fisher folks, or kung para kanino man yung technology na dinevelop ng CLSU. So after all those, here comes commercialization. Out of all the technologies of CLSU, most are just disseminated, but not all are commercialized. Masyadong mahirap yung process ng commercialization, because it's commercialization means that big businesses now would adopt the technology, and they are the one who's going to disseminate the technology to a bigger crowd, or to the masses. Okay, it's not gonna be CLSU na. It's gonna be big businesses who's going to get those technologies and develop it further. Okay, and disseminate further to it's gonna commercialization means that there's already an enterprise for that product developed by CLSU. Okay. So your role as development communication practitioners really is from technology generation, have a role in generation actually, to dissemination, to commercialization. Okay, why they have a role in generation? Because the researchers would not know what technology to generate unless you give them feedback on what are the needs of the people. So you tell them that farmers are in need of this one, farmers are in need of that one, or farmers now are experiencing army worms dun sa kanilang mga onion crops. So CLSU should step up and develop something that would help those onion farmers fight yung mga army worms. So then you generate the technology. Okay? And then after that, in dissemination and commercialization process, dun talaga tayo pumapasok. Okay, and most of the work that I have done before are involves technology commercialization and technology dissemination, because we are the bridge, or the bridge. We bridge the gap between the research system and the client system. Okay, remember, a research paper would just stay as a research paper, or the technology would just stay or dot as technology, and we did not go down to the farmer or to the target clientele unless we disseminate it, unless we commercialize it. Okay, so sayang yung millions and millions of funds given by the government if these technologies are not disseminated to target clienteles. Okay, when we say technology dissemination, it means that it is a process by which innovation is communicated through certain communication channels over a period of time among the members of the social system. Okay, so unlike C4D, wherein when we go down to the communities, we identify the problem first. Okay, in technology dissemination, in technology packaging, we already have a technology in mind that we're going to disseminate to to the public or to the target clienteles. Okay, you see, I have a the term I use in C4D is beneficiaries, or sorry, the term I use for C4D is a stakeholder. Okay, because it's a partnership between your community and you as a development practitioner. But here I use clientele because it's more of a, it's also a two-way system, but you already have a technology in mind that you're going to disseminate to that community. Okay, so you're going to find members of the community, or people who are in need of that technology, and then you're going to disseminate that technology to them. Okay, sabi dito, much good research is done in third world. Sorry for the term. We don't usually use third world now. But more of it needs to reach people who can use it. There are many failures in communication. One is a shortage of men and women trained in the technique of scientific reporting or skilled in the area of simplifying research results for a broader public. Kasi ang problema talaga is that ang daming research, kaya galit si Cynthia Villar actually. Okay, ang daming research, but none of it, or most of it, a lot of it, ay hindi nag-end up or hindi nagagamit ng, ng mga tao. Okay? So, malaki yung role natin in communication there. Kasi tayo dapat yung tumulong on how researchers would disseminate the technologies down to the farmers, how they would disseminate the products of research down to the farmers, okay, or to the public. So this is a technology dissemination process. Okay? So if you can see, from knowledge to persuasion to decision making to implementation, a farmer or a clientele would adopt or reject technology based on the communication channel that we use. Okay, malaki yung parte na uh, malaki yung part played by communication in the adoption of technologies, in the adoption of new technologies. Okay, but before we go down there, um, we also like C4D, we also consider the socioeconomic characteristics of people, their personality, their communication behavior, because that would affect on whether they're going to adopt or reject a certain technology. So this is what we're going to ask. It's a knowledge part. Do people know the product or the idea that is existing? Do they understand how it works? Okay, so persuasion, have people formed opinions about the product? So if they are have negative opinions about it, how are you going to persuade them into adopting that technology? Decision, have people decided to adopt or reject the technology? how do they have interacted with the product. Baka naman meron silang tawag dito, personal experience with the technology that you are trying to impose or trying to disseminate it to them. Okay, so and then implementation, has anyone started using the technology? And then confirmation is ano yung experience ng mga nag-adopt ng technology. Okay, so we have different types of adapters and technology. We have laggards, late majority, early adopters, and innovators. In technology dissemination, in packaging technology for technology dissemination, you have to know that only 2.5% of your population can be innovators, and 13.5 are only early adopters. Meaning, don't be discouraged if a lot of people will not adopt your technology. Kasi hindi lahat may capacity to adopt technology. Who are the innovators? Innovators and early adopters are usually those people who have money, okay? Or those people who have enough resources na po pwede nilang i-stake to adopt your technology. Okay? Because others would not really adopt your technology dahil lang sinabi mo maganda or may napakita ka sa kanila na magandang product. No, they would not. Okay? Kasi they cannot go out of the process of their usual process dahil wala silang pwedeng invest. What if mag-fail yung technology mo? So what will happen to them? They don't have the resources na po pwede nilang gamitin pa to na po pwede pa nilang gamitin para makasimula silang ulit in case na hindi mag-work yung technology na inintroduce mo sa kanila. Okay? So, very few lang talaga yung mauuna na mag-adopt ng technology. Okay? So, I have there the common characteristics of your innovators, early adopters, late majority, and laggards. Okay? So, innovators would have high holdings, high wealth, high education, and high personality trait of risk taking. While your laggards would be, they are people who are very conservative, okay, or traditional. They are people who are old. Old people tend to be conservative and traditional. Okay, I'm not ageist. Tama ba yan? Ageism. Okay, but then that's the common characteristic. Okay, and they do not take risk. Laggards do not take risk. After lang na makita nila na okay lahat and everyone is adopting it already, doon pa lang sila makukumbinsa na, okay, we should adopt it na. So, let's now go to technology packaging. Okay, when you say technology packaging, it means that this is the technology, whether it's a component technology or a package of technology. Okay, so what you're going to do is transform that technology into communication materials or into a communication initiative. It means that you're going to transform it either into an audiovisual, a brochure, or in a training or in a seminar form. So technologies are packaged into marketable forms for transfer to beneficiaries because hindi naman pwedeng bastang introduce mo lang isang product without really telling them what is it about, ano ba yun, ano bang ginagawa nun, okay, or how to use it, etc., etc. Of course, you have to package that information first. And a technology would come from a research paper, okay? So, ordinary people cannot process yung content ng research paper, okay? You have to transpose yung knowledge inside that research paper to layman's term, okay? Or to wordings na maintindihan ng common na tao, okay? So, technology packaging, as just like C4D, is done in a participatory and holistic manner with the participation of your clientele, such as farmers, technical experts, social practitioners, okay? Wherein you take into consideration the merits of the technologies as well as the problems, gaps, and constraints, okay, of the eventual promotion and commercialization of the generated technologies. It is holistic in a way because when you package technology, you not only consult the technical expert or the researchers who made that technology, but you also consult yung target na beneficiaries nila. Okay? So, hindi mo siya po pwedeng i-package na parang journal article tapos ipapamigay, ika-copy, ipapaprint mo lang tapos ipapamigay mo na yun sa mga tao. It's not like that. You also have to consider yung characteristic ng mga tao na nabibigyan mo ng material or kung saan mo i-disseminate yung technology bago mo siya i-package. Okay? So, this is the process flow in technology packaging ng CLSU. We also start with information needs assessment. Okay? Because we have to know the characteristics and communication preferences of our audience, of our target clienteles. What if they are not well educated? What if they are not literate? What kind of information material should you use? Okay? And then after that, that's the only one time that after you get the results of your INA or technology needs assessment and information needs assessment, that's the only time that you do data gathering and material gathering. Okay, data gathering and material gathering is when you take photos, when you take interviews of the subject matter specialists, okay, or the step-by-step procedure on how to do the package of technology. Okay, and then content development, and then layouting and editing of your material. So critiquing and proofreading, editing and revisions, okay, pre-testing, editing and revisions again, okay, application for ISBN and finalization, printing and packaging, and application for copyright. And that's the only time that you're going to disseminate your technology. So whether it is what you call this, it is C4D or techno packaging for CLSU, you always start with information needs assessment. You always assess first who are your target clienteles. The main difference between your C4D and technology packaging process is that for C4D, you're the one who's going to identify what is the development issue, and you're going to strategize a program based on the issue or the development issue. But whereas technology packaging and technology dissemination, you already have a technology in mind. There is already an existing technology that you need to disseminate to the people. That's why what you're going to do is just to align their communication preferences and their communication needs with the material that you're going to produce and disseminate. Okay, you're not starting from really from scratch. Okay, you see, for me it's very mahirap because magsisimula ka talaga sa identification ng problems and needs ng iyong community. Okay, so this one is more focused on transferring the generated researches and technologies to target beneficiaries and clienteles. Okay, so we start with information needs assessment, as I told you. Okay, so INA is a systematic process of determining or addressing information needs of clienteles and what medium to use and the information to present, and then gathering of materials, okay, content development, and then layouting and design, and critiquing, and then finalization. Okay. So this is just an example of the process. INA, scripting. This is a video material for onion production. Okay. So in technology packaging, actually, there are a lot, and mas pinakamahabay process ng critiquing and pre-testing of material because we really have to align the material with the preference and the needs of the farmers or the target clienteles. Not only their preference, but also yung mga subject matter specialists. Sometimes mahirap makipag-coordinate with subject matter specialists because very technical ang technology packaging because we're talking about products of research. Okay, so that is the end for module 1. So I hope that you've learned a lot on technology, on the different processes of multimedia production. So I've introduced to you two ways on how we produce um, materials, multimedia materials. So first is the C40 process, or the communication for development process, and the other one is technology packaging process. Okay, so technology packaging, although we do it in DevCom, it's more of an extension, okay, agricultural extension method. Okay, so ang ginagamit talaga natin in DevCom, we don't just focus on one technology. Okay, remember, we don't just focus on research. Okay, we're more holistic. We focus on different aspect of the society because that's development. Okay, development is encompassing all facets and factors of society. But of course, as we are in CLSU and we are more exposed in technologies, I also presented to you how we package multimedia materials for technology dissemination. Okay, so because mostly sa inyo, after you graduate, are going to end up with agencies, R&D agencies, because R&D agencies really need development communication practitioners to translate their technologies or products of research into materials that can be disseminated and to commercialize yung mga researches na ginagawa nila. Okay, so you have an activity that you have to do after this lecture. So please look at your syllabus and your activity guide, and please answer your worksheet. So that's all for today. Thank you and bye bye.